Basra Air Station is the main hub for coalition activities in the 4 southern provinces. It's a nominally British base, but there are Danish and Norwegian and other troops, and Australian, and even some American troops there too. It's actually a former international airport. I think it was designed and built by a German firm in the 1980s. Never really got used as an airport before getting effectively shut down by air attacks in the first Gulf War, and then again in 2003. It's now a minimally operating international airport. There are some flights that come in, and even some domestic flights from elsewhere in Iraq, but these days it's mostly a military air base with a large contingent of ground troops, most of them British. Even though I was embedded with British forces, there are some American trainers based at Basra Air Station, most of them dedicated to rebuilding the Iraqi Air Force. The Iraqi Air Force was once a large Soviet-style fighter jet force, but it was completely destroyed by the 2 air campaigns in 91 and 2003. So coalition forces have decided to rebuild the Iraqi Air Force as a smaller but more professional force. So at Basra Air Station there are American trainers, including a former test pilot named Colonel Kelly Latimer, who has been deployed to southern Iraq to liaise with the newly formed Iraqi 70 Squadron. While paying a visit to Colonel Latimer's office at Basra Air Station, she gave me a tour of 70 Squadron's hangar to see some of the squadron's aircraft.
They fly 2 light aircraft in the Reconnaissance and surveillance mission, and the aircraft behind me here is the Seabird Seeker, and it's fairly well set up for the mission that it's supposed to do, which again is going to be reconnaissance and surveillance and information gathering. You can see it's a high-wing aircraft. The front cockpit actually looks pretty similar to a helicopter cockpit. It's got some great visibility out both the front and the side. On the bottom there, it's got a FLIR camera, which allows it to take visual video as well as infrared. And we've got a camera here. Or rather a screen that the pilot on the right side can look at and see actually what is being looked at through the FLIR ball. And then we have the ability to record that on the back, bring it back and give it to whoever it is needs the information so they can take a look at it later. It's a pretty simple aircraft, so it's just a 2-person, 2-pilot. It's got a stick, and it's just cables out to basic flight controls. The aircraft itself is a tail dragger, which means it's just got the tail wheel in the back, so that tends to make it a little bit sporty when we get higher winds out here, so that's one of the limitations for the airplane. It's got a pusher prop, which again is great for the visibility out the front, so you don't have a propeller in the way. And it's capable of landing in fairly small, rugged airstrips. It's got some pretty good takeoff performance also. It doesn't take much runway. Its cruising speed is somewhat slow, which is actually good for the mission that it does perform. But sometimes in the headwind we'll get passed by cars on the road.
So what does the Iraqi Air Force use this aircraft for?
They use it for mostly surveillance of infrastructure. We can take a look at border checkpoints. We can perform real-time support for ground forces. So our primary customer for this is 10th Division in the Iraqi Army. So we support them in going out, taking a look at any checkpoints, roadways, possible convoy routes. It's also useful for the Ministry of Oil and looking at pipelines and taking a look at oil leaks. We can fly basically a pipeline in about a 2-hour time frame, fly the entire thing, find any leaks, and then be able to come back here with photos and video and a position and give it to the Ministry of Oil, and they can send somebody out to fix it. And similar thing with power lines. We can fly power lines in a matter of a couple hours, find out if there's any down towers, down cables, and again, get pictures of that and position, come back here within an hour, put it on a CD, and then email it or hand it to the folks at the Ministry of the Interior, and they're able to come out and fix whatever they need.
Tell me how many pilots you have in the squadron?
Right now there's 15 Iraqi pilots, and there's 2 Air Force advisors.
And are a lot of those Iraqi pilots former Saddam-era pilots as well?
Yes, right now all the pilots we have are all former regime pilots, and they vary in experience. Some of them are very experienced, and they have a lot of time in MiGs and SU aircraft, IL-76, and come all the way down to guys that have just flown the basic pilot training course and maybe a little bit of time in another aircraft. So we pretty much have the gamut, as far as experience. But everybody is a former pilot in the regime. They already have some flying experience before they come here.
And tell me a little bit about the team that helps train them, the coalition team.
The coalition team, right now it's a 6-member team, so there's 2 pilots out here. We have an intelligence officer. There's also a maintenance NCO, a communication NCO, and a supply NCO. And so basically, we advise not only just the operation for the aircraft to fly and do the mission they have now, but advise also the unit level aspects, how to run a squadron, how to have standardization, training, and all the different things that come with running a military unit.
Are they all Americans?
Yes, right now all the members here for 70th Squadron are all Americans, and they're all Air Force.
Do you know where the funding came from for the equipment? Was it these American-bought aircraft, or?
Yeah, I know the CH. Well, it comes under the multinational coalition, so I'm not sure if it's actually just U.S. funded or coalition funded. So I'm not really sure.
Can you show us the second aircraft?
Sure. The second aircraft is the newer aircraft of the 2, at least as far as what the squadron has. The first 2 they received were the Seekers, and after that we received 6 of the Sama CH-2000. So you can tell some of the differences right away. It's a low-wing aircraft, and it's also a front wheel. So this makes this one much easier to operate in high wind conditions. And it's also got some pretty sturdy gears, so it too can operate in austere fields and very short runways, 10 runways. It's got a little bit higher cruise airspeed than the Seeker does, but it has the general same equipment. It's got the same flare on the bottom, and also with a screen in the cockpit for the pilot to look at.
And an airbag.
And it does have airbag. Airbags are on the seatbelt, so it's one of the features of this. It does one of the only airplanes that comes with an airbag. And it also has a GPS system inside, which is great for navigation. So when we get a tasking and we get specific coordinates, we can pre-plan it ahead of time, plug it into the computer, and then fly exactly where we want to. Or on the other hand, if we do see something on the ground, we can get exact coordinates right off the GPS and report it back. And again, this is just currently a 2-seater. It's got quite a few radios in the back, so it's pretty close to its weight limit with the equipment that we fly on board right now.
Do you often fly with the Iraqi pilots?
Yes, we typically try to always fly at least an Iraqi pilot with a coalition pilot. If we fly 2 coalition pilots or 2 U.S. pilots together, we typically try to keep that more just the training area or for initial checkouts, but then for missions and stuff, we try to always have either 2 Iraqi pilots flying or an Iraqi with one of the U.S. pilots.
So you're an experienced pilot yourself, going back 5,000 hours, you said, on cargo aircraft. Yep. So is this a major transition for you to go from flying big cargo planes to flying these little?
It is. I mean, it's quite. Yeah, it's a lot different flying, especially in the takeoff and landing, and just cruising and getting someplace in a small cockpit. But I've had some experience flying a bunch of different aircraft, so it's not too new. And it's actually once you fly about, I'd say 10-15 hours, it's pretty easy to get the hang of it. And for the coalition pilots, we get a pretty quick checkout, maybe about 8 to 10 flights or so, and then you're an instructor, and sometimes you're an instructor with a brand new Iraqi pilot. And then there's sometimes the language barrier also. A lot of them have English, basic English, but it's not the same as sitting down with someone who, speaks English fluently and instructing them through a sortie.
Do you have interpreters who help you?
There is an interpreter. We do have an interpreter in the squadron, so he helps with briefs and debriefs. But when you're in the air flying, it's just the 2 of you.
I never actually met any Iraqi air crew. I've read interviews with these folks, and even in the print interviews, they refuse to give their names and certainly won't let themselves be photographed because they would be perceived as traitors by Sunni insurgents and would be targets for assassination.